Thanks for joining us. Let's pick up after the Everton game. Gabby Goodmanson and I suppose Jakob Biel, they're the sort of big talking points in terms of injuries and where they're at.
Yes, Jaka will definitely also miss the Arsenal game. Yes, he's progressing in his rehab. We hope to have him then back probably on the other side of the Nottingham game. Perhaps there's even a little chance that he is involved already for Nottingham. We'll also miss Lucas Matcher. He reported during the warm-up at Everton some problems with his hamstring. This was also the reason I didn't bring him on. Of course, I would have been tempted to bring him on with this momentum after his decisive goal against Fulham. Not a major thing. We have assessed him. He will also definitely miss the Arsenal game. But we hope that we have him perhaps already back for Nottingham latest than on the other side of the Nottingham game. But there's probably a good chance that he's already back for the Nottingham game, but he will definitely miss the Arsenal game. Gabby Goodmanson has progressed further on, so much better than expected. He was not in team training yet so far, but we have obviously 2 more days, and there's perhaps even a little chance that he made it or makes it also for this game.
So where does it leave you, Daniel, in terms of, with Monday looming, obviously, and the amount of work that's going on? Are you in a position to suggest that there may be a change or two of bringing somebody in now?
No, not because of the injuries, because Lucas and Jaka, again, with both chances to have them already back for the Nottingham game, latest than the game after, and Gabby Goodmanson even a chance right now for the Arsenal game. So even a new signing, and wouldn't arrive earlier. So for that, it doesn't change our plans at all.
Now, with the arrival of Facundo Buonanotte this January, that would have completed your summer window, wouldn't it? So in essence, it might be what fans want to hear. Are you done? Are you complete?
To be honest, like I mentioned in one of the last press conferences, I think it's our responsibility to give ourselves the best possible squad for the run-in, because it's important not to fall asleep and also to stay awake, but also I mentioned that we can allow ourselves to be picky, because we're not a club cut into pieces and we need to change a lot, and we're on a really good path, and for that we can be pretty picky what we want to do. Like I also mentioned, we definitely won't extend the size of the group, because we're proper size anyhow and good options. So for that, this is more or less, these are the principles. But apart from this, I don't want to speak too much publicly about this in January, because in the summer I like to be open and transparent, because it's also a bit easier for me. The January market is always a bit more tricky because there are limited options available, and the club knows exactly what I think what we need to do during this window, and they are aware about this. But before the window is not ended, I'm not willing to give too much away, because just for example, if I would tell you right now we need another whatever number 8, for example, use this example because we don't need a number 8, but if I mention this, then also a potential club where we are in negotiations also knows this, and it means the price goes up. So it makes no sense right now to mention on which position we are perhaps desperate to do something or want to do something. So for that, there will be no public statements from myself about any positions where we are in need. The club knows exactly my thoughts about this window and what we are have to do, and I can give you an assessment of this window after the window is closed, but not before. But we are, this is what I can confirm, in a very relaxed and very good situation, and also happy that we have Facundo with us since a few days. Yes.
But do you have sympathy for the fan base that might be losing its head or some of it at times, because they see flurries of activity elsewhere amongst rivals, if you like? So you've got to be transactional and businesslike, but do you have empathy for what fans might be going through at the moment?
Yes, of course. It's an exciting time in the summer before the window shuts, and also in January, and it's also part why we all love football so much. All this rumors and to discuss, and everyone has an opinion. That's also good. But on the other hand, I think what I can give more or less a message: it's good that we're not in a situation where we have to panic or we have to have fluctuation and try something different, because this would mean we are more or less like in a very difficult situation. So it's more or less a sign of stability, that you don't have to do too much in January, and you just can concentrate on a few details anyhow. And for that, yes, like always, human beings are always exciting about something new and about new names or whatever, but it's also important to value what we've got anyhow, and this is also quite important. And not like everyone is already excited about new names. It's more or less like to value what the lads who were important in the last months have done, and we should be also proud of this. And for me, it's also not that I know January is a bit special, but we must not forget that a cornerstone of our philosophy is also our academy. And I have to give lots of praise to Martin and all the coaches, and Scott obviously with the under-21. They've done a fantastic job, and we have also most recently players with us in training, like Sam Chambers since a while, Alfie Cresswell meanwhile also since several weeks, signed a new contract, and it is with us since weeks. Reece Chadwick also signed a new contract, is with us in training since months. Meanwhile, also Jaden Lino with us. So we have 4 or 5 players also who have developed a lot, and this is also a cornerstone of our philosophy. It's not like we just want to spend money on players from other clubs. We also want to develop our own talents. Or that's also one of the reasons why, when we got the feeling, okay, it's time to send them out on loan, like with Harry Gray, we did this anyhow. And these are also important parts, and we won't block also the pathway for our young players, and we also want to involve them. And for that, I have to give lots of credit to our academy, and especially to Martin, who is responsible, Scott, who is doing an outstanding job with these young players. And there are never gifts for myself, but it's also a sign that 4 or 5 of these young players are meanwhile with us anyhow. So important sign of how far they have come. So I don't, of course it's more difficult to give debuts away on Premier League level than it would be, for example, if you would still play on Championship level. So, but this is also what we want. Yeah? We want to make the pathway difficult for them, because we want to play on the highest level. And I don't like just to have a look on, okay, where can we spend more money and what can we do. I also want to have at least one eye on our own academy talents and want to develop them, and we will never block the way. And this is also why we can afford to be pretty picky, because we are doing a fantastic job also on this level.
So like Alfie Cresswell, how much interest has there been in a player like that from elsewhere to take him on loan?
Yes, there was loan interest, but we have said no, because he's meanwhile since a few weeks a proper part of our training group, and he's doing well. So you can see him progress more or less even on a weekly basis anyhow. And this is what I like a lot. So lots of praise for him. That doesn't mean he will celebrate his debut against Arsenal anyhow, but they have all chances right now also like to be involved in match day squads, and then perhaps also to get a few minutes. But they also help us to strengthen our group also on this level. And it's also good because this type of player never block a position on the Premier League list, for example. And for that, it's also one of our cornerstones, as long as I'm in charge here for Leeds United, that we always have a look on what some of our own can do, and also to develop our own players and to have a pathway open also for them. And for that, I'm pretty happy with all the work that we are doing also on this level.
And finally, for me, how much is this the measure of your involvement as a football club now that you're facing the leaders, several months having faced them down at their place?
Yes, it's one of the toughest tasks that you can have. So I have to give Mikel lots of praise, because he has developed Arsenal into probably the most consistent side if you judge the last 3 years in Europe, given where they have finished also in the best league in the world, and also so far Yes, Champions League level. They had 8 games. They've won all 8 games. They won more or less the table on this level. They are the league leaders in the best position also to win the title. So for that, it's the toughest task that we can have. But we also know if we are at the top of our game and we are at our very best. And especially at home at Elland Road, we can deliver a performance and fight for points against each and every opponent in the world. And for that, yes, we will also go into this game with the necessary respect. And we know that we need probably an outstanding day to have a chance to win points against this outstanding Arsenal side. But we also know that we are capable to do this. And for that, we're also looking forward to have this game.
Just moving on from that, Daniel, hello again, by the way. Do you think teams like Arsenal and some of the other teams in the top have more respect for Leeds United now on what they're able to do, given the run that you've been on in the past 10 games or so, when in previous games you might not have been expected to take points off Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Villa, etc., etc.?
Yes, I would always like to think that everyone has also respect once he faces Leeds United, and especially Elland Road. I think everyone who is working football for so long knows that Elland Road is a tough place to go. But of course, due to our recent form, due to our home record, I think everyone is even a bit more aware. And yes, rightly so. We have earned the respect. We didn't win it in the lottery, so we have earned it with good results and good performances. And for that, I don't think that we have an advantage that anyone would underestimate us anyhow. So for that, yes, we have to deliver again.
And given the way that some of the teams have been picking up points at the bottom end of the table now, Nottingham Forest and West Ham, I'm sure your players were all very well aware that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. But does that give them just a little bit of an extra bit of motivation or push when they see other teams around below them thinking, right, well, we've still got a lot of work to do here?
No, because we all know that we can't influence other results, and we all know that we're on a good path with 26 points. But everyone is also aware that normally you have to win more than 26 points in order to stay in this league. I know in some of the recent seasons we would have been perhaps already there, but normally you always speak about 1 point average per game is necessary, and for that, there are many reasons why we can be confident and encouraged, but everyone knows also that whatever happens on other pitches anyhow, so it's always at some point other teams around us in the table will also pick up some points, and we need definitely more than 26 points, so nothing is achieved yet. We have to win more, and like I mentioned before, so our claim, our target is always like to make sure that we have more or less a 1 point average per game, and we have this so far. And we also want to have this by the end of the season.
Daniel, you often talk about January being a tricky month and much harder than the summer. Are you able to give us and supporters an idea of this particular January market in terms of just how difficult it is to find what you might like?
Yes, I wouldn't label it too much different in comparison to other years, but what makes it even a bit more challenging that right now we are obviously playing in the best league in the world, so it was a bit easier perhaps to find players who would improve us, with all respect to the former years, but on championship level. And what makes it also a bit more tricky, and thank God it makes it, is that we are in a good position anyhow, and that we have shown really good performances. If we would have been a disaster and hopeless so far, it would be relatively easy to find players who could perhaps improve us. Then you also have to take sometimes a gamble, or you bring a player in who hasn't played a game for weeks or for months right now. But right now we have proper competition in the squad anyway, and for that there are just limited options in January. So normally in January just players are available who have a problem at their former club or haven't played that much or come out of injuries. But these type of players won't make us better because of the privileged situation we are in. So that means if you want to find a player who improves you, then it could cost lots of money. And the problem is in January, because everyone knows this, and everyone knows that there are limited options available, you could pay overpriced for players. And this is also what I don't want us to do. So it's important that also in January, with all ambitions that we have, but that we don't risk then also like our future, either from the financial point of view, or what we could do then in the future means also like perhaps in the next summer. So because we've done so well, it's not easy to find really players who can improve us and will straight away and are straight away also affordable. And also for other players who perhaps come in on loan or whatever, they normally come in on loan because they want to play, but it's difficult to guarantee this if you're in such a good position, and like my players have delivered so much, and it's a tricky situation. And for that, normally a good sign, because if you have a look on what the teams are doing who have performed really, really well, there is not much business done so far. And for that, it's normally a good sign that you don't have to repair too many mistakes of the summer in January. It's normally a good sign.
Could it also be said that you maybe also gamble on the fitness of players you've got if you don't strengthen, because you could reach February and find yourself, like last season, you lost Ethan and Ilya within a couple of days?
Yes, you never know, but one death you have to die. Because, of course, if there is the 1st or 2nd of February and then you have 2 or 3 long-term injuries, then you would have hoped for, would be better if you would have done even more business. But on the other hand, if everyone stays fit and available and you still sign 2 or 3 more players, it could also affect sometimes the spirit and the togetherness of the group. So this is also quite risky. If you have more or less 30 players on the same level, or 4 players on the same level for just one position, it could be also negative more or less for the whole team spirit, because I'm a big believer in that everyone who is in our group should also have a chance to be picked and should also have a clear task. And if you are more or less hopeless in your position and have no chance to play, then it could be also tricky with the spirit and also with the dressing room. So one death you have to die. When you think you have a proper group, then of course it could be tricky. If there are then out of a sudden 2 or 3 long-term injuries when you can't react anymore. On the other hand, if you overdo it a little bit and have too many players around, it could be tricky with the spirit in the group. And one death you have to die, and for that, I rather die the death of not having the group that is too big.
Hi Daniel. What's the latest on Dan James? Is he okay? Is he in contention?
Yes, back in team training. Also good news with him. And yes, of course, if you're in team training, then you also have a chance to be selected, and you're also available for the game. With him, we will still take some mindful decisions. He was out for such a long time, and of course, he needs a few training sessions. But you can see him more or less growing from session to session, from day to day, and it's good to have him back in training. Yes.
When you're looking for a player in the transfer market, and when you're speaking to a player, how important is it to sense that they want to play for your club only, and not just sense an opportunity for themselves, but also perhaps not getting their heads turned by other offers?
Yes, it's important. We just want players who are fully committed and want to play for Leeds United. So if you got the feeling they just want to use us to get a better move or something like this, or we are the backup option, then we are pretty tempted also like to go out of this options anyhow, because we just need players here, at least as long as I'm in charge, who are fully desperate and fully committed to Leeds United. And this is how I work and how I want us as a club want to work, because the commitment and the desire to represent the shirt should be the most important thing.
Where are we at with any players that might leave before Monday evening? Is there anybody that's possible going, like Ilan maybe, or Joel, who aren't playing too much? What can you tell fans about that situation?
No one has knocked on my door to speak about this. I was open about Jack Harrison, that he wanted to leave on loan, and due to his professional behavior, we have made this possible, and also due to the fact that he had really limited minutes recently. apart from this, no one has knocked on my door and asked to leave, and I also don't expect this because all the players train fully committed, and I also back my players. I like my players. I've spoke about this. We need all of them, and we're also not tempted to send any player away. Not at all. So we all need them, and for that I don't expect business. You never know on this level what happens in the upcoming days, but I have no indications that someone has an offer or wants to leave or something like this. So everything is relaxed and fully focused on the next tasks.
Just on your earlier comments about academy players and sort of not wanting to block pathways, can you reassure any fans that might have heard that and believe that you now don't want to add in this window because you want to rely on those younger players to fill gaps as is necessary in the run-in?
No, that would also be a wrong message anyhow. Right now the priority is definitely that we want to make sure that we stay on this top level. And of course, for a young player who has never played on senior level, it would be too much to ask that he then plays a crucial part to make sure that in the crunch time period of the season, he makes sure that we reassure our Premier League status anyhow. So it should be more or less a healthy development. So on the mid and the long term, for me, it's always important, to have positions within our group that young players from our academy who have done enough to earn a place in our training group, that we offer also the opportunity. If the group of just bought in players is too big, then we can't guarantee this. But as long as I'm in charge, I will always have a few positions anyhow for younger players who can train with us, who can grow with us. And if they have an outstanding development, who knows, perhaps even make their debut on Premier League level or get minutes on this level, like we've done, for example, with the 17-year-old Archie Gray, who was always a consistent player then, more or less. If a player earns this, we will do this. But it would also be nonsense right now to say, come on, we don't sign a player because a 16, 17-year-old guy should make sure that he shines on Premier League level. So I think it's important to do it mindful. If we got the feeling there is a player out there who is affordable and makes us better, we'll also do this. And there will still be spots in our group also to train with us. I think a good balance is always needed, and I wouldn't rule out a transfer. But I don't want to speak too much about where we perhaps are looking at, because otherwise the price would just go up anyhow, and for that it makes no sense. I want us to also, if we would go into negotiations, then to do this in a strong position.
Thank you. Mark. Hi, Daniel. Do you sense this is another pivotal period in the season? You've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Villa and Man City in the next 6 matches.
Yes, tough. To be honest, tough run of fixtures, but we had already a few tough runs of fixtures, and even during this period, a bit surprisingly, perhaps sometimes we have collected many points. And for me, it's also not important if we win perhaps points in games where the outside world, it's a bit more winnable in comparison to playing some of the top sides. We want to make sure that we deliver our best possible performance in each of the game. And if you have a chance to win points against teams who are in the top positions, then we also go for it. We had also surprising results, perhaps against Liverpool, for example, or against Chelsea, where we came pretty close also to have surprising points away at the Etihad. And for that, we are also not scared anyhow, and we think, just the games after will be decisive. If we have the chance also in the upcoming weeks to collect points, it would help our situation, and for that we are desperate to do this, yes.
Arsenal have had a bit of a wobble in the last 3 matches. Just out of interest, do you think they've got what it takes to get the title won this season?
Yes, wobble is also relative. I've just checked their last results. They have lost 1 game. Also a bit unlucky against Man United 2-3. Before I just saw win, draw, win. On Champions League level, I just saw wins anyhow. Even as the league leaders, sometimes you have a game when, with a late goal you can also lose. Sometimes unlucky. I would have preferred that it wouldn't have happened in the last game, because it makes, normally when you're on such a level, then it's more or less even more switched on in the next games. In the next game, I think it doesn't make our task any easier, if I'm honest. But sometimes you can't choose, and for that we are very aware that so far the best team in this season visits us at Elland Road. So far the best European team in the Champions League visits us at Elland Road, and for that we are respectful, but we also won't play with fear, that's for sure.
Hi Daniel. Just on the last 3 league games, obviously Arsenal have failed to win. So how much can you take from just them 3 games? I know you said they might have been a bit unlucky against Manchester United, but against Forest and the game before that against Liverpool.
Yes, on this level, each and every game is difficult. I rarely see results where a team trashes a different team 7-0 anyhow. So it's all tight games, and it's more situations. You make sure if you win, if you lose, if you draw a game. And although you are the better side, you can sometimes even draw, sometimes lose a game. So for that, I wouldn't overinterpret too much into when there is sometimes a little weaker performance, or sometimes just a draw, or even a loss. We know we face the best side in the Premier League so far. We face the best side in Europe so far, and for that, I don't take any encouragement. And I'm far away from thinking, underestimating Arsenal's strength, or think, right now they are not in the best possible position. I have a look on their squad, and they were even with the B team able to win on Champions League level. I think was even more beneficial for them because they could rest some of their best players. They will come very recovered into this game. It was the other way around. They gave important minutes away and confidence away of players who just came back from injuries. I think also beneficial for some players. Also beneficial for the spirit in the group, that everyone in the group is needed. I think they will be back to their very best at the weekend, but this doesn't mean that we should shy away or have to crumble anyhow. So even if Arsenal is at its best, anyhow, we want to make sure that we are competitive.
You mentioned obviously the B side that they played in the Champions League in midweek. How do you approach that, obviously with so much attacking talent in the side?
Yes, to make sure that we always find a good balance out of a good structure against the ball, out of very aware and awake defending behavior. If you don't do the basics in terms of defending right against the top sides with so much quality, then you have no chance. Also to expect that we face a very effective side. More or less like on our first away game, every shot on target was a goal. And also we can't afford to allow them too many chances. It's important that we reduce it to the absolute minimum. Also very, very strong set-piece side as well. So let's make sure that we don't allow them too many corners, too many wide area free kicks will also be important. On the other hand, also to make the most out of our possession, also to create chances and to scare their goal. And whenever it's possible, I don't think that we will create 10 1-against-1 situation on their goalkeeper. Whenever we are there, that we are also effective in using our chances, a bit more effective than we were, for example, in the last away game at Everton, where we also missed a few chances, especially in the first half. So a good balance is like always needed.
We're going to move on to the embargo section.